Welcome, everybody, to another Nerd Corners Horror Corner movie review. And today I'm joined once again by my co host, Elsie.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Hi there, how's your week been?
It's been busy and crazy, but it's also been the start of September, which is pre-Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
So therefore, we instantly go right into a horror movie every night, and the goal is to go through every single Halloween movie this year. Last year, we did all of the Friday the 13th. So we're on I guess number three as soon as we get around to watching it. Not that we haven't seen them all already, but a fun rewatch to try and catch new things that you haven't seen in the other 12 times you've seen them. How about you?
Oh, yeah, once it starts, I usually start in October, but I have like a selection of movies I go through, and I usually post them like like a poster up on a daily basis of the movies that I'm watching, and also to see if people are interested or never seen those films before. I've actually posted some that people are like, "What is Pontypool?" That is a movie that should be reviewed.
Didn't they make a show about that too on Netflix or something?
I don't
Am I
know. I
mistaken?
think you might be mistaken. I don't remember a show being that, but you've seen Pontypool, have you? Oh no, he disappeared.
Disappear into my new background.
He disappeared into your background.
You know, JPOOL loves to just constantly throw movies at me that, I've may or may not seen. I feel like there was a show on Netflix that was either based on it. So I can neither confirm nor deny if I've seen Pontypool.
Okay. Well, for viewers who don't know what Pontypool is, it's a movie basically. People become. It's like a zombie virus, but unlike regular zombie viruses that travel through, bites or like supernatural means, or having to die and to come back from the dead, you become sort of a undead creature through sound. So you're infected by sound.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Definitely haven't seen that.
Stephen McHattie, who's a really good actor, stars in this as sort of a radio sort of a DJ talk show host who has to survive this sort of sound zombie apocalypse using his skills of understanding sound. It's really actually original idea that I haven't seen done with sort of the whole zombie genre. So that's definitely a movie in the future that we need to take a look at.
I love a new take on zombies. Let me see. You'll probably say that you've seen it because you've seen every obscure movie. But
No.
did you ever see Have you seen Contracted?
Yes.
Okay, see, I'll try again next week.
We'll try again next week. I mean, there's some I haven't seen. There's some that are so like out of the loop that my friend had to show me, like Frogs. I had no idea what Frogs
Mhm.
was. I believe that was like from the 70s, and I'm like, so he gave
Yeah,
me a
that's old
copy.
school.
Yeah, he gave me a copy, and I'm like, oh, I think I saw part of this one time. I was skimming through the television, but I didn't watch it. But he's like, okay, I just bought the Blu-ray here. Have the have the DVD. I'm like, okay, that's awesome. Um,
Mhm.
but this movie that we're going to be talking about tonight is Until Dawn. We've been skipping around a little bit over on the beginning of this review, but we're talking about Until Dawn, the film, not the video game.
Right.
Now, you haven't played the video game. You don't play a lot of video games, is that correct?
I don't. I don't. I am an old school girl when it comes to video games, so I stick with, kind of the classics. And I certainly have familiarity with this game. I played a couple of newer horror games, but not this one in particular. I did the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game and a few others, but this was, I knew from the get-go that it was based on a video game when I read the initial reviews, saw the trailer for the movie, but I didn't know what to expect, honestly, from that perspective. um, it kind of played like a video game. And from what I understand in talking to people that have played the video game, it feels like maybe there might be a setup for a sequel, perhaps. But you would know that better than I.
Oh yeah, and we'll get into the end, sort of in spoiler territory, because there
Mm,
is a spoiler that actually will lead into what we're talking about for a quote unquote sequel, maybe. Um, so we'll see how it made, how much it made in the box office. Now, Until Dawn is based, of course, like I said, on a video game from a 2015 video game by Sony and or Sony Computer Entertainment. And in that game, they have this system, basically called the butterfly effect system. So whatever your decision making is at the beginning or throughout the storyline will affect the rest of the story. So if you save this person this way, or if you go down a corridor without a flashlight, or you decide to go down a mine this area, or run away from the monster and forget to duck or something like that, it will affect the rest of the game. And the decision making you make. So there's several different endings with that game because of the butterfly effect system. But in here, in this movie, it's sort of it takes place sort of in the same universe, but they have a different system in here. Since it's not a game, it
okay.
is a film, so they have to do something a little different because nobody's at the controls, going like, "Oh no, I
Hmm.
died." I have to
Right.
restart. In here, we have something else, and it's in a form of an hourglass on the wall. Sort of like it
Hmm.
looks like a giant clock with a giant hourglass. And
Hmm.
the film starts off with six friends traveling to basically one of the girls in the group. She is trying to find her sister who went missing. And we find out that there is sort of this lodge, or not really exactly a cabin in the woods,
Hmm. But
but it's close
it
to
was
it. Yeah, well, sort of. I mean, it is sort of like a welcoming, like little motel
little
in the woods,
B&B.
B&B.
Hmm.
Before they get there, they meet up with this gas station attendant played by Peter Stormare. Now, for people that know Peter Stormare, especially from the Until Dawn games, he might be playing the same character. Maybe we'll get into spoiler territory a little later. But they meet him, and he basically tells them that basically up the road, a lot of people have gone missing, and
So he acted in the video games.
yes, he
Is
did.
that what you said? Oh, I had no idea. How
Yeah,
interesting.
yes. I'll get into
Yeah,
that a little later.
he definitely started off the movie with, that my just getting small bits and pieces from the trailers that had come out before actually watching it. I didn't fully know what to expect other than just that notion of survive until dawn. But the first part of the movie, when they come to that gas station, you have that kind of rural trope. The cashier who's maybe a little deliverance, a little cabin in the woods, as you mentioned.
A little too
Then you
knowledgeable.
travel. Yeah, yeah. Then you travel out to the woodsy area. So that's one of the things that was really great about taking somebody through this movie is there were just so many from start to finish, just trope after trope of all of our favorite horror movie moments.
Oh yeah, and there's a lot of you know jump scares in here. If you were in a dark theater watching this, you probably, at least if you are easily scared, maybe a slight jump. Uh, we have a quick jump scare with the group almost getting hit by uh, you know someone is not looking and beeping at them and like, get out of the way. Surprisingly, there's actually a connection to a last review we did with K-pop Demon Hunters in here.
Okay.
The actress who plays Megan in here,
Mhm.
the Korean girl. She's played by
Mhm.
Ji Young Yu, who actually voiced Zoe in K-pop Demon Hunters.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
if you
Yeah.
listen really carefully, you can hear Zoe. Um,
Interesting.
Especially when she goes a little high pitched and everything. It's like, ah, yes, there you
Mhm.
are, there you go. But
I'll have to go back and listen to that.
there's a little connection right there to our last review. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so basically they get back on the road and they, are some believe that Clover, the main protagonist in here, she's just not accepting her sister being dead. She still thinks that her sister's missing and can be found. But the rest of her friends are like, you need to really let this go because it's
Hmm.
starting to affect everyone around you. Um, and then they run into a huge storm, like
Yeah.
rain,
A water wall.
a water wall. He's full of shit, man.
Like the song. Like the song.
Wrong
That was one
song.
of my favorite parts. Yeah, exactly, exactly. That's actually a good segue into the fact that with Megan, you've got the woo-woo girl who's, very in touch. You've got the main protagonist, Clover, who is your strong, kind of final girl gal. And then you have Nina, who's your typical badass, because you have to have one of those in every friend group in these movies. And then you've got your heartthrob, I'll say. It was Max, was that the Jen's name?
I believe so. Yeah,
And
yeah.
Max, and then Abe was your classic asshole. The guy that knows it all and is a little, maybe too cool. So he played that character very well, and I thought that in of itself, just that dynamic, bringing something that people that are aficionados really enjoy in these types of movies with the friend grouping was nice.
Oh yeah, there always has to be those tropes, especially in horror movies.
Hmm. Absolutely.
So
So they hit the water wall.
they hit the water wall. They finally make it out, and they realize that this like motel lodge that they run into is just protected by the storm. It's like in a bubble. There's just a wall of rain surrounding them, and they decide to go into this lodge, and they start to realize there's nobody there. This looks like there's been nobody there for a very, very long time. And then they find a guest book, and it has a bunch of names. But for some reason, a bunch of names that have been written down multiple times. And then we find a wall full, that's full of missing people. Except there's no weight, sex, or date of
Way to
missing.
contact someone.
Contact someone. It just says missing
Hmm.
and their photo, which is
Hmm.
looks like somebody took their photo, like in a booth or something.
Did you notice the Easter egg there on the wall?
Oh,
Some of
which
the faces that were
which Easter egg? I think.
on the missing wall. The director was actually featured as
Oh
one of the
yeah,
faces,
yeah.
hmm which was a lot of fun. And he's done a terrific amount of newer horror movies already, so it's nice to kind of see him making a not just a name for it, but a face for himself. David Sandberg.
Yep. And so they're starting to, wonder what's going on, and now they can't leave the lodge because now the car has been taken. Somebody's in the vehicle outside the water wall of rain. And so they go back inside, and weird things start to happen. And let's just say that it's going to be a very, very long night for them. This film is, like you said, directed by David F. Sandberg, and uh, this was a screenplay by Gary. Trying to read this, Dauberman and Blair Butler, and
Yeah,
it's not a super
I
long
think
movie.
David and Gary. No, no, and it flowed nicely, and I think a lot of that, is that you actually had some of the writers had worked previously with the director, so you already have people that have that connection, have worked together before on some movies, and you could see it in the way that the movie just progressed. It was written very well for the spirit of the film. What was the total runtime on it?
About 103 minutes.
And three.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it didn't feel long at all.
no. The budget was around $15 million, so not breaking the bank for the studio to take a risk on it. If they want to do a sequel on it, I mean, it was only around $15 million, and probably I probably spent like half of that to promote it.
Hmm.
I know a lot of the promotion was put on like Kick and Twitch for a lot of people that had to watch commercials on those streaming platforms. That trailer just constantly popped up.
Wow. How much do you know how much it's made thus far?
Let's see. The box office, it only made $54 million.
Okay.
So a decent amount. It made its budget back. But you know, with a title like Until Dawn, especially with its fan base, it's a very popular fan base, and there's a collection of games that are similar, and some people say that they are almost set in a similar universe, that have a similar butterfly effects system.
Hmm.
So yeah, so we have here. Let's see. The movie is. Let's see. It was only $54 million that it made, and so uh, definitely we could see maybe a sequel later on. I think it was especially the way the movie ended. I could just tell you.
Hmm.
So I'll get that in a little.
Well,
I'll get that later in
yeah.
spoilers. So um, I if this wasn't really Until Dawn, I think more people would have taken to this movie more, especially some critics, because they were really trying to compare it to the video game, and I don't think that's truly fair because um, the Dark Pictures anthology, which is not really connected with Until Dawn series, but it's kind of set in a similar universe. Uh, they they have separate things that happen, and in here, unlike the video game, we're dealing with a sort of a time loop, like horror scenario, where horrible things happen to these young people every single time around,
Uh,
like
over and over again.
over and over again. Like the first time we see this mass killer with basically like an axe, like an pickaxe that is
Hmm.
hunting them down one by one, and then time resets and they realize that they just were killed.
Hmm. And they carry with them, some, not the full extent of the injury, obviously, because it killed them, but markings of, they come out a little worse for wear each time.
Oh yeah, which reminds me of a movie called Happy Death Day.
I
Um,
love Happy Death Day.
Happy Death Day, where the main protagonist in their Tree, every time
Hmm.
she dies, she somehow comes back with like internal scarring and everything else like that. Like she's been in like almost like a car wreck because of how many times
Hmm.
she's died. And of course,
That's a really that's a great connection. I didn't even think about Happy Death Day watching this movie, but there's a lot of similarities between the two.
oh yeah, oh yeah. Um, in here, there's some really clever ways that they kill off the characters over and over again. Um, this is getting a little bit of spoiler territory, but I think one of the more not original ideas, but the water.
I loved it.
The water was really interesting because if you watch behind the scenes of this movie, the director wanted to make it practical. He could go in and do and spend like millions of dollars on CGI, but he wanted to make it practical. So they would, rig up dummies that look like the person. So you would have in one scene, you'd have the person, stop. They replace the person with, a dummy that looks similar, and then kaboom, an explosion.
It They did a fantastic job with that. I honestly, now I want to go back and watch it again just for that, for the third time. I wouldn't have guessed that that's how they had performed those, just with how well it was done. I honestly thought it was CGI. So
Oh yeah,
that was a great, yeah.
it was a good callback to the old ways of how in the past they would do similar special effects in the past. Um, and sometimes I feel that we get away too much with CGI blood, and it still doesn't look right. Anytime, even in
Hmm.
action movies, when somebody gets shot, you see the blood fly across the screen in like slow motion, and that's not real blood. You just know
Yeah.
it's just poor. It doesn't work in the air like blood would when it splatters and hits the wall or something to that effect. And I feel that we're sort of leaning too far into relying on like computer technology to make those like simple effects. Like blood squibs were used for years to look realistic, just like pop 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 pop, and
Hmm.
the actor would react to them. Now when you're not actually being hit by something, you have to pretend like I'm being shot, and eventually in post you'll put that in as um I'm being shot. But when you can actually feel that impact, it's not going to hurt you. But when you can
Hmm.
feel that impact of a blood squib, um, there's nothing like it. You actually have to have a reaction to it. You know that something's happening. Um, in here, like I said, the whole exploding bodies effect, they did a really good job of conveying sort of that old fashioned special effects technique. That I
Hmm.
hope that some other directors will look at it and going, you know what, I should put that in my movie, even if the studio keeps telling me no, use CGI. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I think fans will know. Fans will know when it's.
We should applaud it more. We should all take a moment to really give the accolades out for things like that, because with CGI, it's easier creativity, and I have a lot of respect too. It takes a lot of talent to put some of that together, but there's nothing like the classic special effects that require a lot of the makeups and mounts and actors actually, as you were talking about, engaging with the special effect more. And I would love to. You are seeing it a little bit more in movies today. I feel like The Terrifier is a great example of trying to get more into classic special effects, but I had no idea, and at the very least tonight, if I don't rewatch the whole thing, I'll go back just for that scene to see if I can pinpoint it, because it was done so well, I never would have guessed.
Yeah, I feel really bad for Megan. She got it worse than anybody else, and that whole scene is like just slowly, in pain of
Mhm.
different parts of her body exploding. It's
Yeah,
like, oh, that's
yeah.
horrible.
Megan got it the worst through the entire movie, if
She
I have
really
to say.
did. They picked on the
She
Asian.
did. the the very first, I was going to ask you what, we haven't done this in our other reviews, but what was your favorite kill? Which it sounds a little morbid, but um, I really thought about it as I started counting them, because this was the second time I'd seen the movie to see how many kills there were. And then I started thinking, well, which is my favorite? And there were some that were more simplistic that I really enjoyed, but honestly, the way that Megan got taken out the very first time in the movie, she got thrown against the wall in such a quick and horrific way, and you don't see things like that in movies all that often.
Oh yeah, and
Um,
then she got her face
what was
smashed in. So like
she
you slowly saw her face and her skull getting crushed
mm,
as he kept smashing it in the floor over and over and over again.
yeah,
I still
just
go back. I still go back to
mm,
probably the um the water one,
The water. Yeah.
because you don't often see like kills like that. It's always like killer
Hmm.
with a tool, or a creature with tentacles tearing
Right.
people apart, or something like that. It's never about this
Hmm.
elusive parasite in the water that can just go like this and and make you go
Oh.
boom,
Hmm.
which will lead up to later
Yeah.
on. We'll talk about.
Hmm. Hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that's one
Yeah.
of
I
my
did.
favorite.
Yeah. I enjoyed her getting the figure skater treatment there at the beginning of the movie, and then not to again give too many spoilers away, but there was the one scene with Clover where she was determined in the worst evil way, and then she got taken out, and that was just so unexpected. But I really enjoyed it when she was coming out of the other house. But we won't get too far ahead of ourselves.
No, no, we won't. But no, I think there are some really clever kills in here. Like I said, other critics that critiqued this film were really putting their critique on it as an Until Dawn film, because it's in the name Until Dawn. So why wouldn't it
Hmm.
be like the video game? It takes place in a different place, in a different time period, and but it still has a character in here that is in both game and movie. We have Dr. Hill.
Dr. Hill, I was going to guess that. So in the video game, it's in a totally different setting. It's not in this mining town that after Until Dawn takes place in.
No, and like I said at the beginning, I will get into spoiler territory, but I will just like spoil it right here.
Hmm.
So at the very end of this movie, as they're driving away, and the screen goes to black with the cross, on the ground, as the screen is fading away, and then it comes back to the security cameras in Dr. Hill's
Hmm.
room, office, and they all start to switch to a snowy cabin.
Hmm.
That is the cabin from the video game. And we see
Okay.
a vehicle pull up, and then we hear Dr. Hill whistling in the background,
Setting us up for the sequel,
setting
of
up
course.
setting up a sequel, which will probably be um, probably based on the game. Now, if you look very carefully, there's actually a little Easter egg. So on his table in his office, there
That's what I
are
was going to ask you about.
there are like records of people that he's been researching, looking up, and probably watching for a very long time. And one of them, I think they could have done a little better than this, because they used a picture from the video game, which I don't know why. They could have just asked the actor, "Can I take a quick picture of you and put it in the movie?" But they used a picture from the video game. Is of Rami Malek's character. Rami Malek is in the video game. They scanned his face and everything, and he was, they came out with a remake that did even a better job of making him look more realistic when they came out
Oh, okay.
on the PS5. But yeah, so it's, I guess,
When
if
I,
if they do set up for a sequel, it is gonna be based in the cabin, just like in the video game. So we'll
Mhm.
see if you know Sony wants to do that again. Like I said, it was only $15 million, and
Mhm.
to make this movie, I mean, to spend a little more money, I don't know if they could actually get the original actors. The actors they used in there, actually, there were a lot of really good actors. I could hold on a second. They had Rami Malek in that game. They had Hayden Panettiere. They
Oh,
had
wow.
Galadriel Steinman. They had let's see, Jordan Fisher. Um, anyway, they had a bunch of actors in there. If you saw their face, you probably recognize them. And um, I mean, they still look good. You know, from like 2015, they still look pretty good.
Mhm.
I don't
Oh,
know
yeah,
if they would
absolutely.
use the same actors or actors similar to looking to them if they do a sequel. But basically,
Mhm.
that's how this the film ends with the snowy cabin in on the mountain.
It's really funny because I saw the Easter egg of Rami on the desk and I thought, Well, they must be making another movie with him in it, having no idea that he was in the video game. But why would they have such a well-known actor on this card in one of these scenes if they weren't setting up for a sequel that he was going to be in it? So I guess the question is for me, maybe not so much. They do all, still look great, but with that type of a budget, can they afford those types of actors for this particular sequel if they come out with one? He's doing some pretty big things, so.
Oh yeah, especially for Rami Malek. Out of all of them, Rami is probably the most expensive out of all of them. Because I don't think Hayden Panettiere
Mhm.
has done a lot in a while. Uh, Ledrell Steinman probably would be an easy get from her agent. And let's see, yeah, Jordan Fisher. He's basically a singer. Like he'd be an easier get. But I think Rami Malek would probably be the one that would probably be the highest paid out of all of them.
Mhm.
Since
I
he,
had to go back. I had to go back and Rami Malek. Yeah,
yeah,
it is
it is
him.
Rami
Pause it for
Malek.
a second. Did he get credit in the movie? Out of curiosity, I
I have,
didn't take the
oh,
time to look. I should have.
yeah, I have to go back and actually see if he actually got credit. But like I said, they just used his video
Mhm.
game image, so I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, oh, they couldn't even
Right.
use his actual image. I wonder if they didn't even get permission, or they're like, well, we own his image in the first place from the game, so we might as well just use it in the movie.
That's a fun fact.
Yeah, yeah. So for anybody who hasn't played the game, so Dr. Hill is basically he's a psychologist.
Mhm.
In here, he's played by Peter Stormare, and in the game, he starts off the game narrating. He's sort of introducing the whole story. And in between like certain sections of the game, he'll pop in and give his little 2 cents on what's going on and how the story is faring so far and everything. In here, he has a really like internal role on the whole situation instead of just being sort of an outside narrator.
Okay.
So that
So
get oh
is it similar in the video game in that he is watchful for a reason? Does he continue to engage in the video game as sort of an antagonist?
this movie took his character in a different like area. Like I said, he's involved in here, unlike being like sort of like an outsider narrator. So I don't know if they're gonna change that for the sequel and bring him back. Peter Stormare is getting older. There's ability to CGI him in there. You know, at least make him look younger.
Mm.
But I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do with his character for if they do the cabin, the quote unquote cabin in the snowy woods
Mm.
situation. But whatever they do in here, his like I said, he's more involved in here, and he's like almost like directly involved in this whole situation, which we find out that um, yeah, he's no ordinary gas attendant.
No, 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 no,
No.
no. He's a physician treating quite an interesting scenario, which I didn't give this movie the credit that it deserved. I was really expecting um, from the get go. Once you see the water wall, you know it's not just a creepy cabin in the woods. You know that there's something else going on, and of course, you're taken through that storyline. But I started to think, this is it's a lot of great tropes. It's making me enjoy it, but there's no real storyline here. And in the back of my mind, I started to get a little annoyed and think, well, this must be because they tried to make a movie out of a video game. But they did weave it all together. You just had to uncover it through the storyline more and more. And I was pretty impressed by that. The whole storyline for this particular movie revolves around a mining town disaster, which is something that weirdly has always fascinated me. Mines are just such a crazy it's a crazy profession. It's a frightening place. They've done some really great movies around, being in a mine, having somebody stalking you. there's a a lot of tragedy that occurs around mines. There's a lot of towns that were built on, a mine being fruitful and then quickly it dried up, so to speak, and you had a lot of poverty. So mines are fascinating to me, and I loved that they wove that through all the way to the point where I could fathom the whole your favorite water, your water death. I could somehow correlate that it's not just something that they thought of that was unique but really didn't make sense for the plot line. You could see maybe that's a tie-in to that storyline.
Oh yeah, definitely with especially with the whole like um, disaster that happened with the I guess the valley basically sank into the ground.
Right, right.
Yeah. So with that, especially with the constant deaths that occur with the characters, they start to get weaker and weaker, and we find out that there are these creatures that are called Wendigos that are basically a lot of the people that have been gone missing. Well, they eventually turn into this, you know, um, like ghostly, like vicious creature of their former selves. And unfortunately, we find out that Clover's sister has also turned into one.
It's an interesting take on Wendigo as a monster type of character. I haven't it very much more, humanistic zombie leaning than what you see when you are looking at it from, kind of the legends of encountering Wendigos in the woods and, hikers running into them and whatnot. The horns, the elk look. And I thought, um, spoiler, I guess, I thought that we were going to see something more come out of the giant monster that makes a brief appearance in the movie, and that really reminded me of a Wendigo. So I couldn't quite connect that, but it was definitely a new take on what would cause a Wendigo and what they would look like and act like. So a lot more aggressive than the Native American stories that you hear.
Oh yeah, I was actually wondering what they were gonna do with that creature, and then he just was like, "Oh, he was just there, and he's gone now, and we might come back to him, we might not come back to them." And they never
And we
came back
did
to him,
not.
and they did not come back to
Mhm.
him. That would actually have been an awesome like if we actually got to see him again in like his full glory, and like, oh, that creature's huge. But
Yeah, he was
unfortunately,
a
it just disappeared.
King Cryptid didn't, make another appearance in the movie, but yeah, it was nice to see, something that you don't typically see in horror movies as a major aggressor.
Oh yeah, definitely. We were talking earlier about poor Megan. Megan gets she gets thrown around a lot in here. She's Ji Young Yu who plays Megan in here. Just she gets dragged up, blown apart. She gets smashed into the wall, smashed into the floor. She gets tied up and into a chair and put in sort of
Mm.
like a sanitarium.
Yeah, she also gets. And speaking of Wendigo, she wasn't it Megan that started to get the slight resemblance of the creatures that were after them. She suddenly gets an extra tooth,
Yeah,
which is
she gets
a
possessed too.
hallmark.
She gets possessed too. I think she's
That's true.
one of the first to get possessed.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this whole cool
Yeah,
scene where she's just like, oh, and her eyes will roll back in her head and everything, and yeah.
speaks to the posters. Yeah, that was a great scene.
But no, I mean, like this was a fun movie. Uh, like I said, for some people that were expecting the video game, they were slightly disappointed with it. But if you look beyond it just being Until Dawn, if it was another title, I think people would have, you know, gleaned more from this film as a horror trope type of film instead of you know we have to connect everything to the video game.
Hmm.
Of course, at
Hmm.
the end, it's like we have to connect everything to the video game. Here's the video game.
Right, right. Setting it up. So do you think that this would actually be a prequel to perhaps the video game? Is there an opportunity that it might lean that way?
I mean, these are completely different characters. These are all original characters. So none
Okay.
of the characters in here you will see in the game Until Dawn. So these are all original characters. That very end scene was just setting it up to show you, hey, look, you see that cabin? Looks very familiar,
Hmm.
huh? Yeah, because that's the
Hmm.
one from the game. Oh, look, a car just pulled up. Somebody's watching them. So I highly doubt we'll ever see these characters again. So
Except maybe Dr. Hill.
yeah, except for Dr. Hill, and so this leans into like anthology story, even though they're like all connected.
Hmm.
Like none of the other characters are going to ever meet each other or connect to each other. Unlike another horror movie called what was it, Trick or Treat, which was supposed to be an anthology movie. Um,
Oh, I wish it was.
well, originally it's set up as an anthology movie, but all the stories in the end connect to each other.
Hmm.
Um,
One of my favorites.
yeah, that's one. I've reviewed that before a long time ago, but I want to see around Halloween time, your thoughts on the movie because a lot of that movie has a lot of practical effects in there, including the werewolf scene. That's practical.
I love everything. We watch that movie every Halloween. It's honestly one of my favorites. Such a fantastic movie.
My one of my friends like little kid one Halloween dressed up as a little the little bag boy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll see.
little Sam. I call him
Yeah,
Bag Boy.
that's
He
great.
just has a bag on his head.
Mm, yeah,
Um,
that is a terrific movie.
yeah. But for this film, we get some fun monsters, some fun kills, interesting premise of we've seen it time and time again. Reversing time and living out in a
Mhm.
time loop and everything. We go back to what was it, Groundhog Day. In fact, a lot of people
Mhm.
consider that a Groundhog Day scenario.
Mhm.
But in this case, your body is taking on the damage every single time, and you're not gonna live very long if your body can't hold out, and your spirit.
Right. They realize they have, 13 chances, of
Sorry,
course, naturally 13. Um,
Baker's
and
dozen.
I like the way that I like yeah, right. I like the way that they set that up in the movie too, with, it being a B&B, if you will, and having the guest book. It was a fun little play on that you pretty instantly as you start watching this movie understand that people are returning to this B&B over and over again and worse for wear each time.
Oh yeah, definitely. Uh, and also how somehow when they go missing, they have a perfect photo that's taken of you, even though they never pose for a
Right.
photo.
Hmm.
Maybe when they walk in, there's like a hidden camera just takes a snapshot of you as you're walking to the door or something. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny too. I mean, I didn't, reflect on it in the moment when you first see the wall of pictures, but everybody, usually when you have a missing photo, it's a collection of different, times of, whenever someone could provide that photo from. And everybody is so smug in all of those photos. They're so unhappy, which should have also set the tone for what was about to happen. Um, yeah, this film, I felt like it did something for me that Cabin in the Woods and Trick or Treat and some of those other fun horror movies did. In that, it had all of the things that you would. It had witches, it had great kills, it had monsters, it had creepy houses in the middle of nowhere, and jump scare. It hit all the buttons. I thought it was really well done. And again, about halfway through, I was given it the side eye a little bit because not playing the video game, I thought it must have been exactly like the video game because I saw PlayStation come across the screen when I first sat down to watch it. Um, and as the movie progressed, everything did connect where I thought that it wouldn't. And I was really impressed by that. The fact that they were able to develop the storyline throughout and really build on it and bring you further and further into it. So I thought it was really well done.
Oh
And if
yeah.
you wanted to know, it was 27 deaths in total
Okay. All right. All together.
altogether. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that there must be maybe some deleted scenes and some deaths we didn't see or something like that because
I would watch the outtakes for sure.
so let's see. We all at near the end they run into Dr. Alan Hill, who is basically the one behind the curtain, at doing all these things, and well, I don't know if you're in a room that has dangerous water dripping everywhere. I wouldn't drink my coffee or tea anywhere near that.
Good point. That's a good point. I don't even drink coffee on the airplane because I feel like that has to be dangerous water, especially not if I saw somebody explode after drinking the water.
Oh yeah, which is basically how he meets his demise after Clover sneakily, you know,
Let
moves
the-
the cup. Not even a
Yeah.
foot, just like
hmm
inches. It's like he could have done it himself if he wasn't
On
paying
accident.
attention. Yeah, it's like don't why you know that water's bad for you. Why are you even just put it over here. There's a table over there, where the water isn't leaking on your desk. Also, why are you
Mhm.
letting that water leak on your desk in the first place?
Exactly.
But yeah, basically that's how he meets his demise. They all, get together and are able to sort of dig themselves out near the end, and
Literally.
literally,
You said you said sort of.
yeah, yeah, and they pop out like gophers.
That was a great
So,
scene too. Just cinematically, it was a fun. I felt it was a little bit of a callback to Evil Dead, maybe, or one of the other greats of past where we've seen that kind of hand. Maybe Carrie.
oh yeah, and they, of course, they escape, and then we have that whole scene where we discussed about the snowy cabin. So
Hmm
that's basically how the movie ends. Now I want to know exactly, like, what did you find like the best parts of the movie, and also the parts that you were like, they could have done better with pacing or anything else like that.
Yeah, I creativity was really good in this movie, even though they were bringing in a lot of those things that have been done before. I felt that they added a lot to the movie with just some of the unexpected uses. The moment when, and I feel like I'm giving all the spoilers, so go watch the movie.
Yeah.
But when Clover, she is assaulted by a witch and turns into evil Clover, and then decides that she's going to go back across the drive and take care of business. You're worried about the interaction with her and her friends, and then before she, even crosses the driveway, she gets taken out, and just little unexpected moments where you think you know exactly where it's going, but it changes and it's fun. I love a fun horror movie always. Um, we talked about Abe and his water wall comment. He made a comment when Megan discovered her extra tooth. She's, how many teeth are you supposed to have? He's like, I don't know, but it's even. Just little fun taglines throughout the movie, or little fun narratives that come from the characters that represent who they are, which are those great characters we always love to see. Um, some of the stuff felt like we talked about the giant monster. Where did it go? Why was that in there? Was it filler? And those were some of the moments where I was a little confused and wondering if it was going to have a plot line that was strong that carried the movie all the way through. But it definitely made up for it with as you start uncovering the storyline around the mine. It you could almost take everything that happened in the movie up to that point and then after and apply it, even if the movie didn't itself give you the specific way that you should apply it to that scenario, you could make up a reasoning for it. So I think the mind plot gave a lot of forgiveness to the movie and kind of gave it a central line to weave it all the way through to the end. Um, yeah, I would have loved though to see a little bit more about some of these kind of main horror characters that
Oh
pop
yeah.
up and then they're gone just as quickly. So, who is the witch? Where is the monster? Why is the guy with the pickaxe wearing a clown mask? I need to know, but we'll never find out.
I also feel that maybe like those characters went on the cutting room floor, or like sort of origins of those characters, to try to move the plot along and cut it down to a what they would consider a reasonable, time for people sitting in the theater.
Or,
Not everybody's wanting to watch a 2-hour horror film. And this
right.
movie's at 103 minutes. That's a decent amount of time. But anywhere from 90 to, let's see, 110 minutes is like a reasonable time for any horror film. And you have to like stuff a bunch of stuff in there. A lot of stuff goes on the cutting room floor, or sometimes even storylines go on the cutting room floor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I
I
feel,
felt like.
yeah,
Mhm. Oh, go ahead. I was just going to say, I also felt like they could have done a little bit more with the um, making sense of the plot lines around let's go ahead and kill ourselves in order to get another chance. Some of those moments, to me, they didn't hit right.
yeah.
It felt like it was too simplified. But there was so much fun throughout this movie that I forgave that. How about you?
Now, I think this is a decent watch. I don't think it's a perfect
Mhm.
movie whatsoever. There are um it's not in the I'm not looking for this to be like award-winning film. So I'm not looking at it.
Sure.
I'm looking for this to be a good time, a fun horror film to watch. And it gave me that. It gave me that. Um, and I'm not even looking at this as being even a prequel to the Until Dawn video game. I feel that this is more of like an anthology in the same universe type of
Mhm.
storyline with a completely different scenario. Um, yeah, you're right with a lot of some of the other creatures. We don't really get to know where they came from or even get to see them again. They just show up, and you're like, is something going to happen? And it doesn't happen. Those things, MacGuffins, unfortunately never
Mhm.
get resolved. And you sit there wondering, that would have been a really cool kill, but they never went through it. Or like you said before about the whole like resetting thing, like, oh well, they just wasted a life, but they're like, well, we'll try better next time. In these situations, it's like, oh well, yeah, you only have 13 times, and we don't get to see all 13 times on up there, coming, dying and coming back.
Mhm.
So either they did that purposely just to skip to closer to the end of the movie, or they were like, oh, we filmed these scenes, but they didn't fit, or they didn't feel right, or it just made the film a little too long. And so we just go like, well, they died all the way up to 13, so here we go.
Right, right. Makes you wonder if they changed the 13 number at some point in the movie to make it make sense too. If it was maybe 8 at one point, they're like, 13. Is that part of the video game? Do you get a certain number of chances?
No, it's more of like if you don't make the right decision, uh, a certain time, you basically have to start all the way back to the beginning. Like if you make the
Okay.
like the, or if you keep going. So most of the time, a lot of the endings end up with you dead, or end up with most of the group dead. There are scenarios where you can actually save the whole group, and live to until dawn.
Hmm.
But most of the decisions in there will usually leave you dead. It just depends on the time length, the decision making you make. So you, like I said, you go left instead of you go right, or you decide to, I decided to go in the kitchen and check out what that sound was, and in another scenario, like you decide not to and you stay with the rest of the group. It's a whole like it will affect
Choose your
what
own adventure.
yeah, choose your own adventure, and it will affect every other decision that they give you like options later on, and it will change
Hmm.
depending on your original decision that you made. And like I said, in here they give you more of like it's a Groundhog Day situation where it just repeats the day over and over again, and it's more of it's not like the day is the same every single time. You have different creatures practically every single round you return, and so you can't really fully predict what happens, even though you come back and you're alive and again. You just have to try to figure out what's going on and hopefully survive instead of like being like Bill Murray and he's like walking throughout the town like I'm going to rob this money truck because I know when the guard turns around or
Right.
doing this and this and this I know
Mm.
how the whole day is going to work out. That's not how
Right.
these scenarios are going to
Yeah.
work out for them.
Or our friend Tree in Happy Death Day,
Oh
who
yeah.
gets it down to such a, she's got that day down like nobody's business.
Oh yeah.
You- There was one other thing, now that I think about it too, that was a little bit of a miss in the movie, and it was a very small thing, and I wondered what you thought about it. At the very end of the movie, when everybody makes it until dawn, Abe pulls up in the Jeep and he's just a little too blasé about the whole thing. Like
Yeah,
they're
it's
like, ha
like
ha ha, your sister's dead.
yeah, and
You guys all just got beat up, but hey, get in the car.
yeah, it's like, oh, I'd be like, let's get the fuck out of here, instead of
Yeah,
like,
thank you.
let's just sort of drive away like nothing ever happened. We're never talking about
Yeah.
this ever again.
Yeah, right. Are you guys gonna stay all day?
It's
Yeah,
like,
that was a little bit of a weird ending there.
yeah, don't you remember? Like, you got killed first. You got like cut in half.
Yeah.
So like,
Mhm. Exactly, exactly.
I don't know. I
So
that
would you
oh, go on.
Mhm. Go ahead. I was just going to say, would you like to see this movie come back reconcepted as more of the video game scenario?
I mean, like we talked about earlier. I mean, it did end with the snowy mountain. So if
Hmm.
they do come back with it, I don't know why they wouldn't start with that whole scenario. Of course, we can't have the butterfly effect, system like they had in the game because of
Sure.
um, that's a video game. So maybe something similar in here. I just feel that like there there was like a huge possibility that this movie would not particularly work with audiences that are big fans of the game, and I can see,
Hmm.
and you could kind of see why critics kind of panned it in that way when they were like, "This is an adaptation of the video game." Like, no, this is an adaptation of the video game. This is a basically a movie with the name Until Dawn that is that has in a similar universe, but more of a anthology of that
Hmm.
universe, like storyline instead of being directly um, on that story. Now, like they said, it could have been like Until Dawn universe or something like that, like with a separate storyline. But I think
Hmm.
because it said Until Dawn, people were expecting directly from the video games, same characters, same storyline, and everything. So,
It's funny, when I watched this the first time, I don't know what was going on, but I watched it and I had to run. This time when I watched it, I fully expected, and you talked about outtakes. I took the time to sit there and do the quick fast forward through the credits to see if there were any fun, outtakes or additional storyline plots or anything. And that could have been a fun little tie-in to, have an alternate ending at the, after the credits where we all sit and wait for something fun. And instead of, coming out of the ground or I don't know. There's been a couple of movies where once purchase, you might have an extended ending. But what a cool thought if maybe they could play around with that concept if they do another installment or um, anthology, as you say.
oh yeah, I love outtakes at the end of credits of the movie. I think it for not everybody sticks around for the credits unless it's a Marvel movie because they know that something's going to be
Mm.
at the end of the very credits. But back in the old days, they would have a lot of times they would have outtakes like mid credits scene basically,
Oh yeah.
and it would be really funny. You'd sit there for like half the time with the credits, and you would laugh at all the goofy things that they missed a line, or they fell, or they did this funny stunt and didn't go well. And for some of these movies, it's all horror and scary, but like behind the scenes, they're probably laughing their ass off because of some scenes. They're like, "Ha! I got a piece of flesh in my mouth because you exploded."
All right.
Um, and it, I mean, it's cool seeing it on the Blu-ray, but I think it like to experience that with theater goers and other people they're near
Mhm.
you, and to have that up there, it sort of gives you like nostalgia of the past and the quote unquote good old days when movies used to put outtakes at
Right.
the end of films before the such thing as a DVD even came out.
Right. I don't want to say that it's, something that's the genre specific aficionado, but I still go to the movies as much as possible. I love going to a theater. And when you're in a theater with watching a horror movie, there is there is 100% a solid 90% of that audience that is going to sit there and they're not going to move until the lights come on because they're expecting one more thing. And you don't always see that with other audiences. So yeah, I felt like that really could have been. It felt like the movie to have some outtakes, some extra little nugget in there. But now after getting your take on the differences between this movie and the video game, I can't help but think how cool it would have been if an alternate ending of you didn't make it, game over, or some other fun little thing at the very, very end of this movie after the credits were rolling. It could have been a fun little tie-in for fans of both.
Oh yeah, sort of like a Clue situation.
Hmm. Hmm.
But for some people that weren't alive when Clue came out, when when the Clue movie came out in theaters, depending on your theater, you got a different ending, which was actually really cool. So some people like traveled near and far to watch another, to watch Clue again. So hopefully that their auditorium screening got a different ending of that movie, and that would actually be an interesting idea to do, to give you sort of like an alternate ending of what could have happened because of decisions they made earlier on in the movie.
It would be interesting to know. I never looked into it, but what did that do for? I mean, it had to increase ticket sales, right? And for a movie like this, it's a relatively low cost to shoot just the additional piece at the end, and then perhaps to grow, your overall box office numbers. Well, I don't work in Hollywood. Who am I to say?
Oh yeah. Well, I want to get your rating for this film Until Dawn, which
Hmm.
and then I will give my rating, and we'll
Yeah.
see where we go from there.
You summed it up really well when you said, I wasn't expecting an award. I was just here for a good time. And that's fully, there's a lot of movies I feel like that come out that, that's it. Don't let it be bad. Let me have some fun. Tarot, with the movie that came out a little while ago, that was one of these where zero expectations of an amazing movie, just wanted to have some fun. And this one definitely delivered. I was again, impressed that they actually found a strong storyline to weave all the way through. I would say I would give this one a 6. It was a fun movie, enjoyable to watch. It was exactly what I was expecting. In the grand scheme of things, if I was rating it specifically against, the best horror movies of all time, it might fall a little bit further down on the list, but it delivered just what I was expecting and what I wanted out of the movie.
Oh yeah, you just read my mind. I was gonna give it a 6 out of
Oh,
10. No, I literally
all
had six
right,
out of
we're
ten.
matched.
Yeah, so I was gonna originally give this a 6 out of 10. Um, this film, like, if we were to compare it to Cabin in the Woods, I would pick Cabin in the Woods above it, like,
Oh,
any day.
100%.
Storyline, just the way the pacing went with that film, and the amount of like creatures and clever. There's no
Hmm.
shying away from any of the creatures. Unlike in this film, they don't shy away from any of the creatures in that Cabin in the Woods, and they give you
Hmm.
more than you only almost can handle, including an awesome
Hmm.
unicorn kill. So,
Yeah, so amazing.
but no, I mean, it's hard to I can put myself objectively aside and say that Until Dawn, the film, is different than the video game, and I know it's supposed to be set in the same universe, but it has the same name. Um, Personally, I would have renamed it something else, but said something like the Until Dawn universe, because they can't do Dark Pictures
Hmm.
universe because it is a completely different studio. Like I said earlier, Dark Pictures universe games are similar to the Until Dawn like butterfly effect system, including they even have a narrator, kind of like Peter
Oh,
Stormare.
wow.
So, uh, so like I said, it almost feel like that they should be connected, but they're by two different studios. And
Hmm.
for here, if they want to do any more Until Dawn, you know, movies, I would change it into sort of like the Until Dawn universe, meaning that they're all different storylines, but they'll stayed in the same universe, so it doesn't confuse people. Sorry about that. It doesn't confuse people when they get to the theater and are sorely disappointed that their favorite character that they played in the game is not there. They're like, "Who are these people?
Hmm.
I don't care
Yeah,
about
that
these
makes sense.
people. I cared about the people that I played in the game multiple times to get different endings and everything." So, all in all, like I said, I give this a 6 out of 10. And it is available currently on Netflix. So if you want to watch it and you don't want to go like, I don't want to rent it on, Amazon or any of the other streaming platforms or anything else like that that you have to rent movies on, you can watch it if you have a Netflix account. So you're not really sacrificing too much. You're not sacrificing your night. If you don't like it, you're just like, well, I had a good time with this horror film, and I'm not going to lose sleep over it unless you are very squeamish and then realize I'm thirsty and now I'm not going to drink any of my water.
Right. Drink beer.
Drink beer and watch you just explode. It's like there's a parasite in there too.
Paper. All right.
All
Well,
right.
we're actually equally matched for once,
Oh
since
yeah.
I don't feel like the bad guy.
Oh, you're never the bad guy. Everybody has their own like the style of rating of their films and what they view. What a film, um, you know, is like to them of their viewpoints of how they critique. And I don't expect you to match me in every single film. There's some
Hmm.
film I go on a whole array of different films that I critique. Horror films is not the only like genre I critique. Um, Going back to K-pop Demon Hunters, which is I
Hmm.
do films like that too. But um, I'm not expecting you to match me or uh, be the bad guy. There is no bad guy or good guy. We're not Siskel and Ebert where we're arguing with each other on a current rating because I like something and you hate something, or you love something and I hate something, and then we don't talk to each other for a week.
Yeah, well, that's why we only do this once a week,
That's why,
everybody.
otherwise going.
It's a secret. I should have given K-pop Demon Hunter a 10.
No, that's not me. The fans will come after you.
That's true. That's true. I need to watch my back.
But all in all, I think it definitely is a good watch if you love this genre film, and you can watch it now on Netflix. It is like
Yeah,
right when
yeah.
you open it up, it's like right on the front page. So both of us gave it a 6 out of 10, and hope you check out the movie. Thank you, Elsie, for joining me for our review of Until Dawn, a 2025 film. Just recently came out, so um, I hope you have a good night, and all of you as well. And remember to enjoy your chimichanga.